Roswell was the tip of the iceberg. Number 10, the Battle of Los Angeles. The Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given by contemporary sources to a rumored attack on the continental United States by Imperial Japan and the subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage, which took place from late 24th of February to early 25th February 1942 over Los Angeles, California. The incident occurred less than 3 months after the US entered WW2 in response to an Imperial Japanese Navy's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, and 1 day after the bombardment of Elwood near Santa Barbara on 23rd of February. Initially, the target of the aerial barrage was thought to be an attacking force from Japan, but speaking at a press conference shortly afterwards, Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox called the purported attack a false alarm. Newspapers of the time published a number of reports and speculations of a cover-up to conceal an actual invasion by enemy airplanes. Number 9, the Maury Island Incident. On July 29th, Arnold interviewed Harold Dahl, who reported on June 21st, 1947, in the afternoon about 2 o'clock, I was patrolling the east bay of Maury Island. I, as captain, was steering my patrol boat close to the shore of a bay on Maury Island. On board were 2 crewmen, my 15-year-old son and his dog. As I looked up from the wheel on my boat, I noticed 6 very large donut-shaped aircraft. Dahl further claimed that one of the objects began spewing forth what seemed like thousands of newspapers from somewhere on the inside of its center. These newspapers, which turned out to be a white type of very lightweight metal, fluttered to Earth. Dahl reported that a substance resembling lava rocks fell onto their boat, breaking a worker's arm and ending a dog's life. Dahl also claimed he was later approached by a man in a dark suit and told not to talk about the incident. Crispin, when interviewed, reported having recovered debris from Maury Island and having witnessed an unusual craft. Number 8, covered up. The Roswell incident centers on the 1947 recovery of metallic and rubber debris from a military balloon that crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. Decades later, conspiracy theories claimed that the debris was from a flying saucer, which had been covered up by the United States government. In 1994, the United States Air Force published a report identifying the crashed object as a nuclear test surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. On July 8, 1947, Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating that they had recovered a flying disc. The Army quickly retracted the statement and said instead that the crashed object was a conventional weather balloon. The Roswell incident was not widely discussed until the late 1970s, when retired Lieutenant Colonel Jesse Marcel, in an interview with UFOologist Stanton Friedman, said he believed the debris he retrieved was extraterrestrial. Number 7, the Mantell UFO Incident. On January 7, 1948, 25-year-old Captain Thomas F. Mantell, a Kentucky Air National Guard pilot, passed away in the crash of his P-51 Mustang fighter plane near Franklin, Kentucky, United States, after being sent in pursuit of an unidentified flying object. The event was among the most publicized early UFO incidents. Later investigation by the United States Air Force's Project Blue Book indicated that Mantell had passed away chasing a skyhook balloon, which in 1948 was a top secret project that he would not have known about. Mantell pursued the object in a steep climb and disregarded suggestions to level his altitude. At high altitude, he blacked out from a lack of oxygen, his plane went downward into a spiral and crashed. Number 6, the Gorman Dog Fight. George F. Gorman told the tower that he was going to pursue the object that had appeared to determine its identity. He moved his Mustang to full power, 350 to 400 miles per hour, but soon realized that the object was going too fast for him to catch in a straight run. Instead, he tried cutting the object off by turns. Gorman made a right turn and approached the object head-on at 5,000 feet. The object flew over his plane at a distance of about 500 feet. Gorman described the object as a simple ball of light, about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. He also noted later that when the object increased its speed, it stopped blinking and grew brighter. After his near collision, Gorman lost sight of the object. In the control tower, the air traffic controller, L.D. Jensen, viewed the object through binoculars but could see no form or shape around the light. He was joined by Cannon and his passenger from the Piper Cub. They had landed and walked to the control tower to get a better view of the object. Number 5, the McMinnville UFO Photographs. The McMinnville UFO Photographs, also known as the Trent UFO Photos, were taken by a farming couple, Paul and Evelyn Trent, near McMinnville, Oregon, United States on May 11, 1950. The photos were reprinted in Life magazine and in newspapers across the nation, and are often considered to be among the most famous photographs ever taken of a UFO. UFO skeptics consider these photographs a hoax, although many ufologists continue to argue that the photos actually depict a genuine three-dimensional unidentified flying object in the sky. Number 4, the Lubbock Lights. Edward J. Ruppelt wrote that the first sighting was reported by 3 professors from Texas Technological College, now Texas Tech University, located in Lubbock on August 25th, 1951 at around 9 p.m. According to Ruppelt, they were sitting in the backyard of one of the professors' homes when they observed a total of 20 to 30 lights, as bright as stars but larger in size, flying overhead. Ruppelt wrote that the professors immediately ruled out meteors as a possible cause for the sighting, and as they discussed their sighting, a second similar group of lights flew overhead. According to UFO author Jerome Clark, 3 women in Lubbock reported that they had observed peculiar flashing lights in the sky on the same nights at the professor's sighting. Number 3. The disappearance of Felix Moncla. On the evening of November 23, 1953, Air Defense Command Ground Intercept Radar operators at SALT STE, Maury, Michigan, identified an unusual target over Lake Superior near the Sioux Locks. An F-89C Scorpion jet from Kinross Air Force Base was scrambled to investigate the radar return. The Scorpion was piloted by 1st Lieutenant Moncla with 2nd Lieutenant Robert L. Wilson acting as the Scorpion's radar operator. Wilson had a difficult time tracking the object on the Scorpion's radar, so ground radar operators gave Moncla directions towards the object as he flew. Moncla eventually closed in on the object at about 8,000 feet in altitude. Ground control tracked the Scorpion and the unidentified object as 2 blips on the radar screen. The 2 blips on the radar screen grew closer and closer until they seemed to merge. Assuming that Moncla had flown either under or over the target, ground control anticipated that moments later, the Scorpion and the object would again appear as 2 separate blips. Donald Kehoe reported that there was a fear that the 2 objects had struck one another, but the single blip continued on its previous course. Attempts were made to contact Moncla via radio, but without success. A search and rescue operation by both the USAF and the Royal Canadian Air Force was quickly mounted, but failed to find any trace of the plane or its pilots. Number 2. The Exeter Incident. On September 3rd, 1965, at approximately 2 a.m., 18-year-old Norman Muscarello was hitchhiking to his home in Exeter along New Hampshire Road 150. Since he did not own a car, Muscarello would hitchhike to and from Amesbury, a distance of about 10 miles or 16 kilometers. After reaching Kensington a few miles outside of Exeter, Muscarello noticed 5 flashing bright lights in the distance, which he initially thought might be the lights of a police car or fire engine. As he drew nearer to the lights, he saw that they were hovering in the air just above the trees and illuminated a nearby field and 2 houses in brilliant red light. One house belonged to the dining family, who were not at home at the time. The other to a family named Russell. He became terrified as the subject, which made absolutely no sound, began to move steadily towards him. Panicking, he dived into a ditch beside the road. The lights changed directions and hovered over the dining farmhouse. Muscarello ran to the Russell's house, pounded on the door and yelled for help, but no one answered. Number 1. The Phoenix Lights. A widely reported appearance of black triangles involved the Phoenix Lights event, during which multiple unidentified objects were observed near Phoenix, Arizona, and videotaped by both the local media and residents beginning on Thursday, March 13, 1997. Some of the observed objects or lights appeared to be grouped in a large V formation that lingered for several minutes. Some residents reported one of the black triangles to be over a mile wide and that it drifted slowly over their houses, blocking out the stars of the night sky. An official report from the US Air Force concluded that the military had been locally testing aircraft-launched flares during that time period, but who knows? Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if we missed anything, and we hope you have a scary day.